Thank you for joining us. Welcome to LumioseStation.
What's up, LumioseStation, and welcome back to another episode of the Pokémon DataDex with me, TheOneIntegral. Last week we covered the Rock Ice type Pokémon Aurorus, and I asked you guys which Pokémon we should cover this week. It was one of the dog trio, so either Entei, Raikou or Suicune, and you guys chose Entei overall, so obviously that's who we're going to be covering today. As always, before we start today's episode, we have to choose next week's Pokemon. So, that is either going to be Florges, I don't know how to say it, that one, or Sylveon. So looking at a fairy type from Generation 6 here. Do you want to see Florges covered? Florges, I don't know. Or Sylveon, if you want to see Florges covered, type Florges in the comment section. If you want to see Sylveon covered, type Sylveon down below. One with the most votes will be covered next week. But for now, let's have a look at the volcano Pokemon, Entei. So Entei, it is a pure fire type and number 244 in the National Pokédex, being one of the Johto legendaries, and as I mentioned, it is the volcano Pokemon. Dimension wise, Entei stands at 6 foot 11 inches or 2.1 meters tall, so Entei is a pretty tall Pokemon, and especially when you imagine it, the fact that it's a dog, it's a very big dog. Weight wise, it weighs 436.5 pounds or 198 kilograms, so again, it's pretty heavy. You would not want an Entei sitting on your lap. Egg and breeding wise, being a legendary, it's in the undiscovered egg group, so it can't breed, and it is genderless, so nothing too interesting there. Again, nothing too interesting here. The evolution chain, Entei does not evolve from or into anything, so that's done there. Bit more interesting here though, we have the base stats. Having a look, you can see its highest base stats are health points and attack at 115, which gives Entei some reasonable bulk and actually a pretty high attack stat. Going down there, its next highest is speed at 100, and then going further down from that we have special attack at 90, then defense at 85, and then finally special defense at 75. So, generally, it's pretty good base stats. Health points give you a pretty good bulk, not like an amazing bulk. Entei is not going to be a Pokemon you're going to set up bulk on, sort of thing, have leftovers and whatnot. But it is pretty good bulk, so you can actually take a good few moves. The main thing, though, is the high attack stat, especially combined with the speed stat, makes you pretty fast, and you can hit pretty hard as well. Ability-wise, for Entei there are two abilities, but only one is available, and this is the basic ability obviously, which is Pressure, which raises the opposing Pokemon's PP usage, which isn't anything special, but it's all we've got, because its second ability, which is Flash Fire, is unavailable. This is its hidden ability. It might become available in the future, but at the moment it's unavailable. If it does ever become available, I'd probably say use Flash Fire rather than Pressure. Pressure is only useful in situations where you're trying to stall the opponent out, and Entei is not a brilliant Pokemon to be doing that on. So generally, Flash Fire would come in would be more helpful. However, obviously, no one's going to attack an Entei with a fire type move. You'd have to. It wouldn't be like in every game sort of thing. It'd be every now and again you might be able to get it off by switching in the right turn sort of thing. So generally, we're stuck with Pressure. If Flash Fire becomes available, I would recommend using that though. So the typing for Entei, being a pure fire type, there's really not a huge amount to say about this here, but we'll go over it anyway. It resists 6 types, so it's pretty good, which are Grass, Fire, Bug, Ice, Steel and Fairy, and it's weak to only 3, which are Water, Rock and Ground, taking neutral from all the rest, so actually it's a pretty good type. Obviously Water, Rock and Ground are fairly common types, however, you do resist more than you are weak to, so generally, I'd say it's a pretty good type. That's my opinion though. Just looking at the stats, looking at the numbers, it's a pretty good type. Then moving on to look at the moves for Entei. Obviously we're going to have some fire type moves, but there are a couple other different types of moves as well coming in. The first one here, it learnt at level 15 as an Entei, or most likely TM05 Raw, is Raw. Yeah, good job. Raw obviously is just going to get the opponent out there. It can be run, you have, for example, Entei's move pool is not huge. It does have pretty good moves, however, only a few are going to be useful to you. So you could think about putting Raw in like the final slot, just to be able to use as a pivot in case the enemy comes in with a water type, and obviously you can just raw them out and say, well, yeah, okay, if you send them in, I'm just going to raw them out. So that's not going to work for you. So you could run it that way. or you could just have it around in case the enemy starts setting up, you know, swords, dances, nasty plots, whatever, and say no thank you, and just kick them out, basically. Going on to some more offensive moves, we have level 36, or again more likely TM 35, we have Flamethrower, which is a special fire type move. As we saw, its special attack is lower than its physical. Its physical is 115, its special is only 90, but you can run a special Entei. It's viable. It might throw the opponent off guard, but it's viable, but it will do less damage. So you have to sort of add up there. You could just run it for the hell of it and think, yeah, why not? I need a special attacker, I want to use Entei, I'm going to do a special Entei. You could run it, it's not the best set maybe, but yeah. Then we have a level 57, Lava Plume, which is basically a high damage version of Flamethrower, except it can be used in double or triple battles as well. I think, did I say it was doing high damage? I think it does a bit less damage actually. Don't hold me to that though, I can't remember the exact stats. I think it does a bit less damage, but it can be used in double and triple battles as well. So that would be why you'd want to use it there. Then we have TM04 Calm Mind, which is going to increase your special attack and special defense when used, which is obviously for use on a special set for Entei. So this is why you might want to use a special set, because the physical set doesn't have any, you can't learn sword stance for example, so you have no way to sort of bulk yourself up as well as doing more damage. Calm Mind offers both of these by increasing the special attack to give you more damage on your Flamethrower or your Lava Plume, as well as increasing your special defense, which means you can take special attacks, for example a Water Pulse or a Hydro Pump, a bit better. So it might not make a huge amount of difference, but it can be useful in some sort of situations. So yeah, that's my one thing about Calm Mind. Its special Entei doesn't have a huge move pool either, so Calm Mind is sort of just a thing you can run and you can use if you want to. Then we have TM10 or TM10 Hidden Power, which is gonna, obviously the type is gonna depend on your IVs. Again, it's special though, and that will be using a Calm Mind set, Calm Mind, Flamethrower, and then the final Hidden Power. So that would really be it. Maybe Raw, or maybe just some other random special move you can learn. But Hidden Power, what would you want to really have? Well, Grass type of Hidden Power would be the best, because that would combat both water, rock, and ground. So that's really what you want to look for there with the Hidden Power. There's not much more to say from that. Then TM71, Entei can learn Stone Edge, which is a very powerful rock type move, and being a mainly physical attacker, that's going to help us do a lot of damage, just a variety of opponents. So that's basically why we want to run Stone Edge. Not much more to say about that than that. Then we have TM90 Substitute. Now generally you might want to think about running this with a special Entei set, because you actually have the Calm Mind to increase your special defense, so you can put a Substitute down, Calm Mind up once or twice, and then obviously they're going to do less damage to you each time, so that's why you might want to think about using Substitute there. So yeah, your physical Entei, there's not much point, because we're not looking to run a leftovers. We haven't got any other health and restoration method, so really what would be the point of using it in a physical set? That's basically it. Then we have a heart scale move here, which is Sacred Fire, which is a special move, almost. It's not learned by very many Pokemon. It's a physical fire type move actually, and there's a lot of damage, so you definitely want to think about possibly running it. Where do you think Nick got his name from? Well, Sacred Fire, Entei, boom. That's it, straight off. Poketubers exposed, I don't know. Right, back on topic. Then we have two other moves here, which are both event moves. They were released on several Entei, I think. Generally, obviously the event's not running now, but generally most people here are going to be genning in Pokemon, they're going to be transferring them up, whatever, so you'll be able to just do this and put them on. But Extreme Speed and Flare Blitz. Extreme Speed gives you +2, I think it is, priority, and it's a normal type move. It's not going to do a huge amount of damage, but gives you the priority where you need it. And Flare Blitz gives you the damage where you need it. Obviously Sacred Fire, I think there are some downsides to it. I think it harshly reduces attack or something along those lines. So that's why you won't want to use Sacred Fire, but you might want to use Flare Blitz instead. It does give you recoil, but it's a trade up basically. So generally you just got to figure these things out and make the best set for you. Speaking of sets, let's go and look at one. I'm only going to be looking at the physical Entei set here. I've spoken a decent amount about special Entei already, so really that's something you guys can explore on your own, sort of, do it yourself basically, DIY. But we'll look at this basic physical Entei. Basically, if you see an Entei in a competitive game, this is generally the Entei it's going to be. The moveset is Sacred Fire, Flare Blitz, Extreme Speed, and Stone Edge. Ability is Pressure. Nature is an adamant one, and then the held item is a choice band. EVs are going to put maximum attack, maximum speed, and just the rest in defense there. So Sacred Fire and Flare Blitz are your two options for a physical fire type attack. If you think you can take them out in one turn with a Sacred Fire, choice band and Sacred Fire, go for it, you know, just use Sacred Fire, take them out, and then switch out the next turn, because most likely thing that's going to happen is the opponent is going to send in something that you're weak against, so you wouldn't want to stay out anyway, so the attack drop doesn't mean anything. Whereas Flare Blitz, if you don't think you can take them out in one turn and you need 2 turns, for example, use Flare Blitz, take a bit of damage, and then use it again to finish them off. So that's why you do it, that situation, use it there. Then we have Extreme Speed or Stone Edge. Extreme Speed, as I said, gives you priority. That's the reason you're running it, basically. And Stone Edge gives you coverage again to give you more types. So that's why you want to run that. And it's pretty hard hitting anyway. Ability is, we've only got one available. If Flash Fire ever becomes available, possibly use that one. But for the moment, we're using Pressure. Nature is an adamant one, because we want to do just damage. We're not hugely fast Pokemon, so having Jolly Nature isn't as good, so Adamant would just generally be best because it just increases your physical attack, lets you do all the damage. Held item again boosts this as well, giving you a nice choice band to do even more damage, and then the EVs we've got maximum attack for even more damage on top of that, and then the maximum speed to give you a bit more speed, and the maximum, or the, not maximum defense, but the rest in defense sort of puts it in defense, obviously. But if we look at our base stats here, physical defense is 85, special defense is 75, so generally we might as well just boost up the higher stat rather than trying to bring the lower stat up equal to it, because increase the best thing you have, basically. You could put it in special defense as well, but obviously then your physical defense is going to be weaker and you haven't got like a single defense that you can take decent attacks from. So it's really up to you, but that's how I do it. And yeah, how would you use a set? Well, it's a choice band set, so generally those things are go in, use a move, and then once the move's not going to do any damage to the opponent anymore because they switch or because whatever else reason, switch out, basically. Don't send your Entei in and go, okay, I'm just going to Flare Blitz, Flare Blitz, Flare Blitz, and then lose it, taking out maybe one Pokemon if that. Play it pivot, okay, switch in, go for Stone Edge, maybe Extreme Speed to finish them off, switch out, and then keep it around for later on, basically. Hold on to it. But that's pretty much it for this week's episode of the Pokemon DataDex, guys. Entei is a fairly simple Pokemon. Remember to comment down below and vote for next week's Pokemon, either Florgs or Sylveon. I know people are going to tell me I'm pronouncing Florgs wrong if I get Florgs, so maybe you guys want to see that and steal the hate. I don't know. Anyway, guys, I shall be seeing you next week. I thank you for watching, and yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Goodbye, my friend.